Wrestling with Siblings. I'm your host, Araceli, and this is my co-host, Armando.
Hi guys, I'm Armando, and welcome to Wrestling with Siblings.
It has been a while, but we are officially back every single week with new episodes of Wrestling with Siblings, so remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Become a part of the family today. Alright, let's get started with Raw from Cleveland, Ohio. This is the Raw post WWE Draft, so every brand officially has their rosters now.
Yeah, and that Raw roster, it's been looking pretty fire. It's pretty solid all the way around. Same thing with the SmackDown, but if you really sit down and analyze it, we're kind of going towards the Raw SmackDown. I'm sorry, the Raw roster.
Yes. Alright, let's get started. Ric Flair, he comes out to address Team Flair versus Team Hogan 2 weeks at Crown Jewel, and he pretty much says that his team will be victorious against Team Hogan, and I completely agree. In this scenario, I'm Team Flair. I have to agree 100% with him.
And keep in mind, Ric Flair needed one more person to complete his team, and who did he end up picking? He ended up picking Drew McIntyre, and Drew McIntyre is the game changer in this team, and I have to agree with you on that. I think Ric Flair's team is going to end up beating Hulk Hogan's team.
And McIntyre finally making his return. He was gone for, I believe, 2 months. The last time we saw him was at King of the Ring. You know, he got eliminated on the very first round, and then he was gone. He disappeared. And he's finally back to represent Ric Flair in Saudi Arabia at Crown Jewel. So McIntyre comes up, and he's basically like, look, you asked for a favor, and I'm going to deliver, and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm going to do at Crown Jewel.
And let me tell you, McIntyre did not lose a beat since he was gone. He looked even better than what he looked before.
Yes, and that leads into a match, Drew McIntyre versus Ricochet, and obviously, as Armando said, you know, when someone comes back from an injury or from taking time off, no matter what the situation is, they always come back with ring rust. And him, no, he was ready to go. He didn't lose a beat, and he definitely did his homework on every single one of his competitors. And I can tell you, this Drew McIntyre is a lot more dangerous than the McIntyre that left 2 months ago.
We could tell he's more motivated in what he wants to do. And not only that, but he's also got Ric Flair right now. And if he sticks with Ric Flair to match him, he could go long ways.
And we know Drew McIntyre is very, very good at using people to his advantage. He knows exactly who to pick. He's picked people like Dolph Ziggler, who he used to his advantage. He used him as a mentor, and he got to where he wanted to be in his career. And then he completely left them. And then he used somebody like Baron Corbin and Shane McMahon and all these people, and now he has a Hall of Famer by his side. So it's going to be interesting to see moving forward how Ric Flair plays a role in his career.
Definitely have to agree on you. I would like to see him partner with Ric Flair, see where they could do together.
This is a new and reinvented Drew McIntyre, and I do want to see what he brings to the table. He is, as I said, a lot more dangerous than what he was when he left, and we saw that in this match. He was brutal, he was more determined, he was focused, and he knew exactly what his objective was, and that's exactly what he did. He delivered 100%.
And I feel that a lot of that had to do with Ricochet, because keep in mind they faced each other a couple months ago, and if I'm not mistaken, Ricochet was the one that defeated him as well. So McIntyre had a bone to pick, and he did not make the exception this time.
Yes, and Ricochet, outstanding athlete. I think he really has a lot to give to the roster, not only because of his wrestling styles, but also his mic skills, and I think he is one of the very few that's the complete package all the way around.
Yeah, and for him to take on a superstar like McIntyre and take him to the limit, I mean, how many times did we see Ricochet get near falls over McIntyre? And that's very hard to do on McIntyre, so it says a lot about Ricochet that he could take on all comers no matter what size, speed, or power.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this is the very first time in a really long time that Ricochet loses a match. Officially loses, as in actually getting pinned to lose. And that's very crucial, but at the same time, it doesn't affect Ricochet in any way, shape, or form.
No, I think his last loss was, I believe, against AJ Styles for the U.S. title, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, since then, he has been on a winning streak, and he pretty much, took the match to McIntyre.
He definitely did. Alright, let's move on to the second match of the night, which was Aleister Black versus Jason. And this guy is basically hometown talent. But Aleister Black, officially part of the Raw roster, excellent pick by the USA Network and by Raw. I think having a striker like Aleister Black really is something that brings something new to the Raw roster.
It's going to raise up the level of competition in Raw, and definitely I think this move was great for Aleister just because, like I said, he's got more competition, and it looks like right now he's going to be getting more TV time, which is what we all wanted to see. We want to see more of Aleister as well.
Yeah, and I mean, the guy's super athletic. He is, again, another one of the very few that's the full package. He can cut a promo. He can deliver in any match, and no matter who you put him with, he is one of those competitors that adapts to any competitor in any circumstance, and I think that he uses that fully to his advantage.
And again, going back to him switching over to Raw, it's going to benefit him in the long run. This is, I think, the transition he needed to up his career, to maybe possibly get him a championship opportunity.
100%, and it looks so far like they really are going to take the ball with Aleister, and the reason why I say that is because they've been giving him that push that he deserves, and by that I mean he's slowly been easing himself into the roster, and they've slowly been throwing Aleister at you, and after that, he's definitely going to go at the top of the list to become one of the top competitors on Raw.
Yeah, very interesting to see who he's going to face, which top star he's going to face, and we'll see.
Yes. Alright, let's move on to the King's Court with Rusev. Over the last couple of weeks, there's been some odd tension between Lana and Rusev, if we want to put it that way. We all know they're married in and outside of the ring, and this is what Jerry the King Lawler was trying to get to. He's like, so what's been going on between you and Lana? You know, I think a marriage should stay between a marriage. And to make a very long story short, Rusev pretty much says that it's all Bobby Lashley's fault, that he brainwashed Lana into doing all the things that she's been doing, and you can definitely tell he's hurt and he's not happy about it.
Yeah. You could, pretty much what you said, you could tell that he's upset about it, but I really want to see Rusev get his hands on Bobby Lashley. I mean, it's long overdue. It's just a matter of time, and when they do, I think they're going to have a great match.
I definitely do see that, and they did cut to Lana and Bobby Lashley eating at a restaurant, and Lana basically rubs it in his face, and he's like, I know exactly where they are, and he runs off. So we can definitely expect a mini brawl or something to take place at this restaurant, at this place, or whatever it is that you want to call it.
I think this feud is intended to benefit Rusev at the end of the day. It's going to be that huge, not huge push, but that push that he needs in his career. We know he's been going in and out of the ring of WWE, but I think this is the push that he needs.
And I think after WrestleMania, like, he really slowed down, and they really slowed down on him, and I think he was gone for so long that people, not forget about him, but people were just like, where's Rusev? And when he finally came back, people were excited because now it's a new, reinvented Rusev. You get to see a whole new different side of him, and it's going to be really, really great to see this new Rusev play out.
Kind of odd to see that sensitive Rusev because we're so used to seeing that badass, that crushing Rusev, and now he's like that, like, sensitive, like, touchy guy, like, you know, kind of weird.
And it's also super weird to see him without Lana because she's always there to be the voice of Rusev. She's always there to mentor him and keep him on track, and it's super weird seeing him without her. But it's going to be interesting how the storyline plays out within the next couple of weeks or even months. Alright, speaking of keeping someone grounded and keeping someone where they have to be, let's move on to the next match, which is Andrade with his manager, Selena Vega, versus Sin Cara. This is a rivalry that has been going on for as long as I can remember, and we do know that I believe the first match that Andrade had that was with real talent was actually against Sin Cara when he first got called up to the main roster. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I believe so. That he was one of his opponents, and like you said, one of the first ones that he actually faced. And I believe Sin Cara was out due to injury as well. And if I'm not mistaken, he was out maybe for a year tops. I believe maybe less. I don't know 100% why he was completely out, but I mean, at the end of the day, this was one of the great matches on Raw.
Yeah, and speaking of level of competition, you have that with Andrade. You have that with Sin Cara. You know, you see something new. You see that lucha background that we don't often see from a lot of superstars, to put it that way.
Yeah, and you could tell these guys love to work with each other. Just the way they move in the ring, the way they execute all their moves is just flawless.
And you also have to keep in mind, Andrade goes into all of his matches prepared, and he obviously has someone like Zelina Vega watching his back, making sure he stays focused, and she also makes sure he takes advantage of every single opportunity that he gets. And that's something that I think all of his opponents don't underestimate, but I think they're not really fully prepared for something like that, because you never know when Zelina Vega is going to strike, and because of Zelina, Andrade was able to pull off the win.
I feel that, like, Alistair, for Andrade, this is going to benefit him to moving over to Raw. I think this is what he needed in his career as well. And being drafted in the first round is huge for Andrade. It's extra motivation, but for him to be like, you know what, I'm one of the top stars and I am the future, and it's time to prove it is now, and he's doing it so far.
And yeah, he was part of the first round. He got drafted with Becky Lynch. He got drafted with, I believe, Charlotte, and if I'm not mistaken, Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. So all the champions, all the top stars were in the same round that he was an opportunity to shine. And let's not forget about Sin Cara. Sin Cara is excellent inside of the ring. I just feel like he's never really gotten that exposure. And I think this match with Andrade really is going to give Sin Cara that exposure that he really has been needing throughout the last couple of months or in his career.
And I don't see this feud ending anytime soon. I still think they got a long way to go, and they're not going to settle the scores now.
And Humberto Carrillo was backstage watching, and he's like, well, you know what? I think I'm ready for Andrade. And he's been eyeing his matches, and that would be another feud that would be absolutely killer. Again, Raw has that level of competition now where you can put anybody against anyone, and they will 100% deliver. And I'm excited. I do want to see Humberto Carrillo versus Andrade, or even Humberto versus Sin Cara. You know, I think there's huge potentials there. Yep. And I don't think the world is ready for what the Raw roster has in store. Alright, moving on to the Viking Raiders versus Ryder and Hawkins.
Gotta say, man, the Viking Raiders, they've been super impressive since they debuted in the main roster, pretty much unstoppable. I believe they haven't lost a match, if I'm not mistaken, and I mean, I really don't see these guys being stopped other than, like we had mentioned before, AOP. I think that's the only tag team that could probably stop the Viking Raiders.
I said it on the last episode of Wrestling with Siblings that we did. I was like, I think AOP will be the team that dethrones the Viking Raiders, and I think it fits them perfectly. I really do feel like there's nobody else on the Raw roster that can take them down like AOP, and I think they can match the strength, they can match the powerhouse, and they can match the athleticism of the Viking Raiders to be able to take them down.
And not only that, but they didn't just beat Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. They were also the former tag team champions, so they beat the champions.
Exactly. So they've been pretty much running through the entire Raw tag team division, and at this point they're unstoppable. They're an unstoppable force, and it's going to be very interesting to see how each team tries to overcome the Viking Raiders.
We can say that the Viking Raiders are the best tag team right now in the WWE right now.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you on that one. I think since the Usos have been gone, I really do think that the Viking Raiders have really been like, you know what, this is our opportunity to step up. And they took that opportunity, and they really have been incredible. And I think this is the team, you know, that's really going to break out in 2019-2020 season.
This is the team to beat, no doubt about it.
100%. Alright, let's move on to Rey Mysterio. The last time we heard of Rey Mysterio, well, not heard of him, but the last time we saw him on Raw, he was getting attacked by Brock Lesnar, and not only was he getting attacked, Dominic was also getting attacked by Brock Lesnar. Very, very hard scene to watch, but now he's back, and he does not come alone. He came with Cain Velasquez. We do know he brought him in to the WWE, and what he comes out to say is that basically he wants to come out and thank the WWE Universe for all support that he has been getting. And well, he also came out to give Brock Lesnar a warning. So who decides to come out? Shelton Benjamin, after Paul Heyman comes out and says, you know what, Cain Velasquez doesn't even stand a chance at Crown Jewel. Shelton Benjamin comes out and he is like, oh, you know who my friend is? None other than the Beast, Brock Lesnar. And he comes out and he's like, okay, well, if I push you around, does that mean I get a title shot? Because apparently that's how Cain Velasquez got his title shot. And Rey is like, look, man, I don't want to fight. Don't push me around. We don't have to do this right now. And why does he say that? Because he doesn't come alone. He had backup, and Cain Velasquez comes out and he teaches Shelton Benjamin a little lesson.
Very interesting to see what Brock Lesnar and Cain Velasquez are going to do in the WWE. Keep in mind, this is not UFC. But I want to see what new stuff Cain Velasquez is going to bring to the WWE. I'm very excited for it. There's been a lot of build-up for this, so we'll see. Hopefully it'll be a great match in Crown Jewel. And for Mysterio, glad to see him back. Hopefully he recovers pretty soon, which I'm sure he will. And we'll see what happens from there.
Keep in mind, Cain Velasquez pretty much destroyed Brock Lesnar 9 years ago in the UFC. And Paul Heyman does make it very, very clear that every morning when Brock Lesnar gets up for the last 9 years, he looks in the mirror and he looks at that scar, and that has been motivation, and he's been waiting for the opportunity to finally be able to get his hands on Cain Velasquez. And quite frankly, if you really think about it, Cain is stepping into pretty much the home of Brock Lesnar. He's stepping into the ring with Brock Lesnar. And this is pretty much his sport. This is what he does best, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it plays out.
And knowing Brock Lesnar, he's going to have no mercy. He pretty much is going to unleash the beast, if you want to call it that way.
He definitely has something up his sleeve. We can guarantee you that. Alright, let's move on to Seth Rollins versus Humberto Carrillo, who he saw backstage, and he was like, hey, I heard you think you can take on the Universal Champ, and I want to give you that opportunity because he respects that. And wow, what an amazing match this was.
What a match. What a way to have your first match on Raw than facing Seth Rollins. I mean, facing Seth Rollins, he's one of the top wrestlers in the WWE and in the world, and Humberto Carrillo lived up to his expectation. I was really, really impressed. I kind of followed him a little bit in NXT and 205, not a whole lot, but he really impressed me in the main roster as well.
He was able to keep up with someone like Seth Rollins, and to be able to say that, it's a huge accomplishment. And in your very first match, your debut match, and yeah, he took a loss, but it doesn't hurt him because he lost to Seth Rollins, and that alone doesn't even matter. What matters is the match that he gave Seth, and at the end of the day, you have to respect the performance that Humberto Carrillo put into this ring.
Yeah, and you also gotta keep in mind that Seth Rollins, he's not fully focused because up until now, he is still thinking about the Fiend. He can't get the Fiend out of his head. And I feel that played a huge role in his match because we saw him get frustrated, get to the point where I thought he was going to go and use a steel chair or win via disqualification because he couldn't pin Humberto Carrillo. And we got to saw that a little bit of Seth Rollins against the Fiend in Hell in a Cell when he lost his mind.
That's a side of Seth Rollins you never really get to see, to be completely honest with you. He's usually very chill. He drives the match at his own pace, and when he sees it's not working out for him, he changes his strategy. But ever since that match at Hell in a Cell, all his matches have been different. He's been, one, a lot more brutal, and two, he's definitely been a person who now gets frustrated. And I think at the end of the day, that is very, very crucial, because that is the way he can lose his Universal Championship. If he lets The Fiend keep getting inside of his head, there's no way Seth Rollins is going to keep the Universal Championship. And he's obviously not 100% in any match that he goes into. And now, the thing now is, The Fiend got drafted to SmackDown, but he's still inside the head of Seth Rollins, because Seth doesn't know when he's going to show up, if he'll even show up.
Yeah, and Carrillo took advantage of that, and he proved it throughout this match. I mean, his athleticism, the way he worked in the ring with Seth Rollins was just amazing. If you guys haven't seen Humberto Carrillo, he's one that you have to keep an eye out on.
Yeah, and if you haven't seen his match against Seth Rollins, go watch it. It's absolutely incredible. You're going to see how brutal Seth was and how amazing of a competitor Humberto Carrillo is. Alright, let's move on to the main event, which was the OC, the original club, versus the Street Profits, making their debut on the main roster officially.
After the attack last week from the OC,
Seeing the Street Profits down in NXT, we've seen what they're capable of. But them putting on the type of match that they put on against AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and Anderson, you really have to give props to the Street Profits. And I 100% agree with you. I do think they are the future of tag team wrestling, and aside from the Viking Raiders, I think this is going to be another team that's really going to step up and really is going to take the brass ring and run with it, you know?
Another thing too that me and Arceli were talking about is we see this team as being the next New Day. They have the personality, they have the charisma, they got the in-ring skills. They're just missing that one other third member.
Yeah, and for third members, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities. I'm sorry, and I was telling Armando, one person that I really do see that fits the Street Profits that can also compare to the New Day is No Way Jose. Just by his theme song, you can already tell that he's hype, he's ready to go, he's good inside the ring, and I think he is the perfect match for this group. I think No Way Jose and the Street Profits would make an amazing team, but I could also see them partnering up with someone like Velveteen Dream.
Yep, I have to agree with you on those picks. That was just a little side note we wanted to throw out there because we kind of see the comparison as the New Day.
Let us know what you guys think down in the comments. And the OC, I think this has been the faction to really take over ever since the Shield is no more. AJ has done a great job guiding Gallows and Anderson. Not that they needed any guidance, but partnering them all together has really helped them out, and it really solidifies all the experience these guys have together. And you can see it in each and every single one of their matches. These guys are beyond experienced.
Yeah, the confidence they have in the outside of the ring and inside of the ring as well. And I think they kind of underestimated the Street Profits a little bit, and that ended up coming back and haunting them. But at the end of the match, who decides to come out and help out the Street Profits? Kevin Owens.
Very, very interesting. That was one I definitely wasn't expecting. So it's going to be interesting to see how Kevin Owens plays into all of this.
Is he pretty much calling out AJ Styles for the United States Championship? Who knows? I mean, that might be a great opponent for Kevin Owens to face for the title.
Yep, 100%. I mean, that's all I have. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No.
All right. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Become a part of the family. Today, we do have a Patreon, and those episodes will be starting to get re-uploaded. Please join the siblings. And for those of you that do not know what WWS stands for, I wonder, what does WWS stand for?
Wrestling with Siblings. Thank you guys.